All right, everybody, I'm going to wait just a minute to let everybody get a chance to get into the Zoom here. We're going to have the chat window open, so if you guys want to kind of talk throughout, and we should have some time at the end to take any questions. But let's go ahead and get started. So, what is your gut feeling about AI? Is it a miraculous technology that's going to take humanity to new heights? Are you cautiously optimistic? Do you think it's a tool that's good as long as there's a human in the driver's seat? Do you think it's going to take over the planet, but like benevolently with good dental plans? Or are you positive that Skynet is inevitable and we should run as fast as we can in the opposite direction? Welcome to Promo Perspectives, a live podcast presented by Sage, dedicated to giving promotional product suppliers and distributors tips, tricks, and insights to help them grow their businesses. I'm Gabe Gotay, Senior Marketing Coordinator here at Sage, and today we're going to be demystifying AI, taking a look at the state of the technology and talk about how promo pros like yourselves can use these tools day to day. So let's go back to that question I opened with. The idea of this technology taking us into a golden age with no negative consequences is idealistic but naive. There are certainly some things about AI that should cause some concern. But does that mean we're going to get the squid bots from the Matrix and they're going to put us in pods and harvest us for batteries? If anybody here has ever struggled to get a good answer out of ChatGPT, they can probably tell you we're a good way off from that possibility. If you ask me, the most likely answer is that we should be excited but cautiously optimistic about how we use it and, ensure that we're not asleep at the wheel. So I want to address some of the fears surrounding AI right up front. I think the reason that many professionals haven't yet started using AI every day is out of some kind of fear. Not necessarily of an apocalypse, but I see two most common worries when I talk to people about this. First is a fear of social consequences. The conversation surrounding AI has a lot of controversial opinions, from discussions of environmental impact in the development of these tools to debates about the artistic integrity of the images, videos, and sounds generated by software trained on real people's creative work. Second, there's a fear of the learning curve. Technology advances on an exponential timeline. Since my parents have been alive, computers have gone from rare and expensive and difficult to use tools reserved for a particular kind of geek to so commonplace that we carry them around in our pockets and use them unconsciously. Every year, there's some new technology that we're expected to learn how to adopt or get left behind. And I think some people fear that AI tools are so advanced that they've already been left behind. Well, both of these fears are perfectly natural, perfectly rational, but I want to reassure you that you are capable of using these tools, and it's very possible to do that responsibly and ethically, and that by not doing so, you're losing out on opportunities to streamline your workflow and improve your business operations. So let's go back to that first fear. Someone in your life, whether in the real world or on one of your social media feeds, has probably shared an opinion saying that you shouldn't use AI. I'll give you an example. A lot of my social circle is artists and musicians. There was a relatively popular music venue in Denton, Texas that recently posted about an event where they were going to focus on AI-generated music. And they faced so much backlash that within an hour of posting about it, they canceled the event and issued an apology. Why the backlash? Artists have some good reason to be sensitive about this. There's no universally accepted definition of what makes something art. Does it have to be assembled from scratch by a human being with no algorithm involved to be considered art? What makes something authentic? The general opinion, at least among musicians that I'm in conversation with, is that AI-generated images and music lacks artistic integrity. Human artists have spent years honing their crafts to build their artistic vision and bring it into the world. And someone who doesn't spend that time can now push a button and create something that is technically music. Sounds pretty bad, right? But as a musician, I can say that new technologies have always presented opportunities to lower the barrier to entry for creating art. Think about sampling, taking snippets of songs and remixing them to make beats and backing tracks for artists to sing and rap over. This used to be an incredibly difficult thing to do. It required expensive hardware to capture sections and samples of songs from records, tapes, or radio, and then a pretty high level of skill to assemble those samples on beat, on key, and in a musically satisfying way. Today, you can point and click on a computer and get exact the sample you want down to the millisecond, and use software tools to align everything to the right tempo and change the pitch to match the key and export a finished project. And all of that can be done on a laptop or a phone. Does that mean that beat producers today are less artistic? I'm sure you'd find some people that would say yes, but The majority of people that I know wouldn't feel that way. All of that to say that while I don't personally consider a song created entirely from AI, from a prompt to be art, that doesn't mean the tool can't be used in the process of creating art. In the short term, some people may get away with what's considered cheating, but in the long run, true art always rises to the top, and true artists learn to adapt to the changing landscape and evolving tools. And beyond all of that, an important distinction to make when we're talking about AI today is that you are an audience of business people primarily, and we're not talking about using AI for art, we're talking about using it for business. I'm not personally planning on using AI to make a synthetic singer on my next song, but I'm definitely going to be using it to help me outline marketing strategies and proofread my blog content. The context in which you use these tools and the methods in which you use them are what's important. It's not unethical. So let's move on to that second fear, a fear of maybe technological inadequacy. There are many tools and software tricks that could theoretically make your workday easier, but you don't use all of them because some of them might be too advanced to figure out. You've probably seen some Excel guru open up a special window you'd never seen before and write code to make Excel do things you wouldn't have imagined possible in an instant. But you're not going to go out and learn how to code just to replicate that trick. But lucky for you, AI is nowhere near as technical as that. These tools are incredibly user-friendly. If you're listening to this podcast, either because you joined this Zoom call or you found it by browsing the internet, you have the tech literacy required to use AI. It's literally as easy as a Google search these days. Of course, for every user-friendly tool, there's always a more advanced version of that technology available. I use AI to generate text, ideas, and images. Some people use AI to improve the efficiency of network infrastructure. I couldn't even begin to tell you how to do that. So why don't we take a look at some of the range of AI tools that there are and their typical use cases. I'd break the tech that we have today into three categories: generative, reasoning, and physical AI. Generative is what we're mostly focused on. Tools that can generate language, images, and video. They're not doing much thinking. They're just following a sophisticated algorithm to take the prompt that you provide and give you something that matches. Let's take the text generators, for example. It might seem like GPT is doing some deep thinking, but it's just making guesses. You know when you're typing a message on your phone and above your keyboard there's little suggestions for what the next word should be based on what you would usually type after the last word? These large language models are essentially just really advanced versions of that. While this might be the most basic and simple level of AI, I think it's probably the most useful for day-to-day use. This is where we get into how you can use AI to make your life easier. How much time have you spent agonizing over the tone of an email that you drafted? It's incredibly difficult to capture tone in text, and when you're worried about the accuracy of what you've written, sometimes you can lose the trees for the forest. ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and Claude are tools that you can use to get a new perspective on your own writing. I have quite literally copied an email that I've written, pasted it into Google Gemini, and asked, "Hey Gemini, is this email too sassy?" I almost never mean to be sassy in an email, but let's be honest, that old saying, "there are no stupid questions," is not true, and sometimes you have to answer stupid questions. The people asking you them aren't stupid, they might have just misunderstood something. But you have to find a way to answer their question without being condescending, and AI can be very helpful for that. Tone is just one of these things that the tools can check for you. Let's say you submitted a proposal to a client or sent a project to your supervisor for review, and they had feedback for you. You've done your best to understand that feedback and make revisions, but maybe you were worried you missed something. You can open ChatGPT, give it your original submission, give it the feedback you received, give it your revised work, and then ask if it covered everything from that feedback. Maybe you hit all the major points, but you missed one small detail. AI can help catch that for you. As I said, I tend to use Google Gemini for these kinds of tasks, but there are a variety of tools available. I think it's important to understand the landscape of generative AI so you can make an informed decision on what you use. Let's dive into a few of the most popular models right now, what they're known for, and how they stack up against each other. And I see we have a question here. I will get to questions at the end. First, ChatGPT from OpenAI. It's probably the one everybody's heard of. It's a general purpose language model, and its main strength is versatility. It's a great all-around tool for text-based tasks. Need to generate a marketing email, write a quick blog, or brainstorm some catchy slogans for a new promotional product line. ChatGPT can handle that. It's also known for its strong conversational abilities and its ability to remember the context of a conversation, which makes it feel more like a natural back and forth than some of the other tools. Now let's talk about Google Gemini. I mentioned this one earlier, and for good reason. It is really deeply integrated into Google's ecosystem. So Google Search, Google Gmail, Google Docs, or Google Drive, it can work seamlessly with all of these things and pull information from any of them. It can summarize a long email thread to draft a response or analyze data in a Google Docs spreadsheet. It's also multimodal, which means it was built from the ground up to understand and generate different kinds of information. So it can do text, images, code, audio. It can create documents. It's very efficient and fast to do tasks that involve pulling from other things in the Google ecosystem. Then there's Claude. Claude has gained a lot of popularity for its focus on safety and ethical guardrails. The company was built with a concept they call constitutional AI, which means basically that it's designed to be helpful, honest, and harmless. This can be a big advantage for businesses that are concerned about generating biased or inappropriate content. Claude is particularly known for its ability to handle long documents. So if you have a massive client proposal or a long legal document that you need to analyze, Claude's large context window allows it to digest and summarize a pretty incredible amount of text without losing the plot. It also has a natural and more expressive writing style, which can be great for more creative or narrative-driven tasks. So kind of summarize those three. How do they compare? I'd say that ChatGPT is the Swiss Army knife. It's a fantastic generalist. It can do a little bit of everything. And if you're just starting out and want one tool that can handle most text-based tasks, it's a solid choice. Google Gemini, I would call it the productivity powerhouse. It's what I use. It's a great fit if you're already deeply invested in Google's suite of products and you want an AI assistant to streamline that workflow. And then Claude is the thoughtful professional, the one that you turn to for more nuanced, long-form tasks where safety, ethical considerations, and a more human tone are a priority. But the takeaway is that there's no single tool necessarily that's perfect for every task. And by understanding their individual strengths, you can pick the right one, or you can mix and match. Use Gemini to quickly summarize your emails, switch to ChatGPT to brainstorm some new slogans, and then use Claude to help proofread everything that you have before it goes out. The point isn't to pick one and stick with it. It's to have a stable of tools at your disposal so you're always using the right one for the job. Generative AI is like a brilliant artist or a writer. It takes a prompt and it uses its massive training data to create something new that fits the style and the patterns it learned. But it doesn't truly understand the logic or underlying relationships between the pieces of information. It's working on a statistical model, predicting the most likely next word or next pixel in an image, and that's why it can sometimes do what's called hallucinating. It generates something that sounds plausible, but is factually incorrect because it's not bound by a strict logical set of rules. So, next, let's talk about reasoning AI. This is where we start to move beyond just creating content and more into the realm of problem solving. Reasoning AI is like a detective or a chess player. Its purpose is to analyze information, identify patterns, and draw logical conclusions. It's not about being creative, it's about being consistent. Reasoning AI systems use structured knowledge and a set of rules to solve problems, make inferences, and predict outcomes. So it's less of a creative partner and more of a trusted expert. It's the simple way to think about the difference. You might ask generative AI, what's a good or creative response to this? But ask reasoning AI, what's the correct or logical solution to this? So where would you encounter this in your business? Well, most likely you are not using the reasoning AI yourself, but you are almost definitely interacting with it in your day-to-day, so it helps to understand it. So a lot of finance and insurance companies use reasoning AI for fraud detection. It can analyze a lot of transaction data and documents to identify unusual patterns and flag potential fraud, even if it's a new fraudulent activity it hasn't seen before. It's used in supply chain optimization, so it can take a huge number of variables from production schedules and shipping costs to weather forecasts to recommend the most efficient and cost-effective way to get products from point A to point B. It's used in customer service chatbots. So like a generative AI chatbot might just give a polite and generic response, but a reasoning AI-powered system can diagnose a problem based on a customer's input and then follow a logical step-by-step process to solve it. It can recommend the right course of action based on a set of rules, like if the customer is asking about a missing order, first check the tracking number, then offer to file a claim if it's past the delivery date. There's also Google Maps and other navigation apps use reasoning AI. So when you enter a destination, it's not just giving you the shortest route, it's analyzing a bunch of different variables in real time, like current traffic conditions, historical traffic patterns for that specific time of day, road closures, potential accidents, and even weather to calculate the fastest and most efficient route. It's not just generating a path, it's logically problem solving your commute. You've also seen this in personalized recommendations on shopping websites or streaming apps. So when Netflix suggests a show you might like or Amazon recommends a product, it's not just guessing. These systems are using a form of reasoning AI to analyze your past viewing or purchasing history, as well as behavior of other users with similar tastes. It reasons that if people like this movie, also like that movie, you'll like this movie and also that other movie. It's logical, if complex, and a chain of inference. The last one, and I found this pretty cool, is a lot of the smartphone photo apps now can automatically organize your pictures into albums of faces, places, or objects using reasoning AI. So it has kind of computer vision to identify similar images. And even it's not just that's a dog, but that's a different dog than this dog. And it can put this dog in this album. And it'll see how often that you're taking pictures of that dog and create a happy little memory collage for you. So again, generative AI for the creative things, reasoning AI for the more complex and logical tasks. It is what assures that these systems are efficient, accurate, and reliable. And finally, we're going to kind of get to the third category for today, physical AI. And this is where AI moves out of the digital world and into the real one. If generative AI is the artist and reasoning AI is the detective, then physical AI is the actor. It's a type of software that's embodied in a physical form and designed to interact and change the world around it. It combines AI software with hardware sensors, motors, and robotic parts. And its job is to take in data through senses with things like its cameras, its microphones, its radars, process that information, make decisions, and then perform an action with the body, which could be a robotic arm or a set of wheels or a drone's propellers. So think about a self-driving car is probably the perfect example of physical AI. It's not just a pre-programmed robot following a set path. It's using AI to constantly analyze its surroundings in real time. It's looking at traffic lights, other vehicles, pedestrians, road signs, and weather conditions. And then it's using AI to reason through all this complex and changing information to make a physical decision to accelerate, to brake, to steer, to stop. And we're starting to see physical AI in action in a lot more places. Companies like Amazon use robots that can navigate complex warehouse floors, identify and pick up specific packages, and transport them to the right location. And again, they're not just following a pre-programmed route. They're adapting to a constantly changing environment, stocking situation, and avoiding obstacles and coordinating with the other robots. Drones equipped with AI fly over farmland to monitor crop health or inspect power lines and bridges for damage. They're using their eyes and their brain to navigate three-dimensional space and complete a specific physical task. That little robot that vacuums your office or home, it depends. I have one of the cheaper dumb ones. That's definitely not using AI. It's just bumping into something and trying something else. But some of them are remembering where they bumped into things and building a physical map. So while you might be sitting at your desk using generative AI to write an email or letting reasoning AI find the best driving directions, somewhere out there, physical AI is working to move and manipulate things in the real world. It's the ultimate combination that makes true automation possible. One last thing I kind of want to talk about with physical AI, it's impossible not to mention Boston Dynamics. They are, without a doubt, one of the most well-known companies in the world for their work on mobile dynamic robots. For decades, they've been pushing the boundaries of what it's possible for a robot to physically do. You've probably seen their videos on social media. They have Spot, which is like a little four-legged dog, that robot that can run, walk, or open doors. There's Atlas, which is a humanoid robot, which can do feats of agility like parkour, backflips, balancing on one leg. Their work is a perfect example of what physical AI is all about, creating robots that can navigate and interact with the complex, unstructured world we live in, and not just doing a single repetitive task, but perceiving their environment and adapting to it. While most of those famous videos show off the robots just doing athletic things, it has some really cool practical applications. A lot of companies are using that Spot dog robot for things like automated inspection on industrial sites, monitoring construction progress, and even collecting data in hazardous environments. The AI allows the robot to navigate around obstacles, climb stairs, and perform tasks safely, all without the need for a human to be in a dangerous location. And even for the average person, there's some really cool things that the physical AI is doing. It plays a role in the new theme parks. I don't know if you've seen what's coming up with Universal's Epic theme park universe, but for decades, theme parks have had these really basic animatronics that are just kind of a constrained, fixed, pre-programmed set of movements. They're incredible to look at, but they don't respond to their environment. Universal, however, has been partnering with Boston Dynamics to use their technology to create more lifelike and dynamic characters. Imagine a giant animatronic dragon at the park, which is what they have now for the How to Train Your Dragon park. And instead of just a limited set of movements standing in place, it can be predictive, fluid, interact with guests. It's not just about motion, it allows it to react and make shifts. The dragon might, seem a little more natural than some of these old machines. It can bring back a new level of realism to the theme park experience by making the animatronics feel more alive and autonomous, blurring the line between a show and the living character. So, all right, let's move forward a little bit, and we're going to talk some more about some of the AI that Sage is using. So let me pull some things up so I can talk about some specific things here, because I do see you guys want to move on to that. Just a moment. So yeah, Sage has started to use a lot of these AI tools specifically to help with the promo world. So the biggest one that we have is the Idea Wizard was our first tool. So this is something, if you want to use it in promo, if you're familiar with the Sage environment in the product search, you probably become pretty good at using that search tool to look for specifically what you need. But maybe you want a creative assistant to help you find the right products for your promo clients. So let's say that you have a customer who's having a rooftop movie night at their restaurant, and they're having a Mean Girls themed movie night. And off the top of your head, maybe you think, oh, t-shirts or some of the more common things, but you want some new ideas. You can use the Sage AI. You can give it the prompt. You can give it information about your client, and it is going to pull up a whole list of creative ideas, things you might not have thought of. And since it's tied directly into the Sage app, when you click on these, it takes you directly to the search in Sage. And then from there, you can even narrow it down even further. You can add your supplier preference groups. You can use your sorting options to find exactly what you're looking for. We also have something called the Presentation Wizard, which is something very similar. So again, let's say you've got that rooftop movie night. You can give it that prompt, and it's tied into our CRM. So you tell it what client it's for, tell it about the project, and not only is it going to use the reasoning AI to determine what are the best promo products in the Sage database, but it's going to look at the data about your customer in the CRM to determine what kinds of buying patterns they have, what industry they're in, and it's going to pick out the products, which you can specify by saying how many products you want, what you want the cost to be, and it's going to create one of our Sage presentations. And again, it's giving you a starting point. So if you don't like off the bat the products it's selected, you can choose different ones. If you want to change the descriptions of the products that it's selected, we have AI tools built into that where you can have it enhance. For a live demo of some of these Sage things, I'll say that's not something we're going to get into the podcast. We did just have an AI Sage Academy webinar session. You can find that in Sage member. Amanda Carpenter presented that, and that is a full 30 minutes of just a demo of Sage AI tools. I highly recommend looking for that. I see that you're asking about where is the AI button in the Sage app. So in the product search, if you're in the product search tab on Sage Workplace on Windows, towards the top right, there is a little button that says Ideas, and that's where you click that. If you're wanting to use the Presentation Wizard, go to the Sage Presentations module, and when you click to create a new presentation, there is the option to create from the wizard, and that's where that's going to pull that up. There's a couple other tools in Sage Workplace. One of them is going to be the supplier summaries, and so that's going to summarize reviews from distributors about suppliers. You might have seen something like this on Amazon, where it takes all of the reviews of a product and summarizes it. It's also in your CRM section now. You can find suggestions for products. And then I would say the most powerful other tools in Sage is going to be for the Sage websites. So if you have a Sage website, you can generate blogs wholesale. You can give it a prompt, say, I want a blog about how sports promo products can improve. I see Jocelyn's asking, how can we get to the other Sage AI meeting I brought up? Again, if you go into Sage Member, under the knowledge base and under videos, we have a webinar section. I believe this one, because it ties into all the different Sage modules, it's going to be under general webinars. We also, if you go to sageworld.com and you click on the resources tab at the top, that'll take you to our blog and our resources guide. If you go to the guides section of that page, we have a whole AI and Sage white paper written that tells you where all of these features are. So I appreciate a lot of you I understand we wanted to get to more of the Sage stuff first. I really wanted this podcast to more give you a view of where AI is in general, kind of overcome some of the fears so that you understand how these tools in Sage work. That kind of takes me to the end of what I have. If there are any more specific questions, you can go ahead and throw those in the chat now. Otherwise, we'll get wrapped up for the day. All right. Well, like I said, go to Sage Member, log in, go to the knowledge base, videos, general webinars, and you can see the AI webinar that Amanda Carpenter did recently for a 30-minute deep dive demo into the Sage tools. Thank you, Ashley, for putting that in the chat. Yes, this session is recorded, so this is part of our podcast. So it will be posted sometime next month on YouTube. If you go to Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, anywhere you get your podcasts and subscribe to Promo Perspectives, you can listen to it when it comes out. I'm going to be putting out a bonus episode where I'm going to be talking to William Rubseman. He's been on the podcast before. He runs the marketing for a small business, and he uses AI a lot. So he's going to be giving his insights into the best ways to use AI for a small business. So thank you all for joining us today. And if you go to go.sageworld.com/podcast, you can find all the episodes from before and register for the next live session. Thanks so much for joining, y'all.